was a thing in the 80s, with Reagan cutting those programs, those social services programs. And again, while the, movie takes place in 81, we also see it as a movie that is about now, but that still exists. But some of that, the garbage strike, the cutting of social services, was something that really was going on back then.
On February 18th, I will present in detail an economic program to Congress embodying the features I've just stated. It will propose budget cuts in virtually every department of government. It is my belief that these actual budget cuts will only be part of the savings. As our cabinet secretaries take charge of the departments, they will search out areas of waste, extravagance, and costly administrative overhead which could yield additional and substantial reductions. It is for this reason that I must tell those who fail to report for duty this morning they are in violation of the law, and if they do not report for work within 48 hours, they have forfeited their jobs and will be terminated. End of statement. Republicans and Democrats in the Congress came together and passed the most sweeping cutbacks in the history of the federal budget. Right now, members of the House and Senate are meeting in a conference committee to reconcile the differences between the two budget-cutting bills passed by the House and Senate. When they finish, all Americans will benefit from savings of approximately $140 billion in reduced government costs over just the next 3 years.
So really it wasn't specifically the original idea about mental illness or loneliness or all those things. It was really about the lack of empathy in the world and what does that create. Then on top of that we added childhood trauma, lack of love in Arthur's life, and sort of you get the villain you deserve was kind of the one-liner that Scott and I would kind of bounce back and forth.
During recent months, many of you have asked, what can you do to help make America strong again? The power of millions of people like you who've determined that we will make America great again.
To me, the system is broken, and it's been broken for a long time, and we wanted to reflect that in the treatment that Arthur's able to get, which is probably court-ordered treatment, where he goes in once every 2 weeks and basically has to check in, and they go through a checklist of questions.
The real idea was just about doing an in-depth character study, a deep dive into, like, what if you take a comic book movie and you do it in a different way, and you just do a character study that very much was, motivated and from some of the films from the 70s. Obviously, Bob was in some of those movies. There are other movies, whether it's Network or Death Wish, that find their sort of motivation for us. But it really started, weirdly enough, with this silent film, The Man Who Laughs, which, funny enough, we didn't even know, but was an inspiration for Bill Finger and Bob Kane when they came up with the Joker character, which we actually didn't even know when we started it. So it all started from there, and then we kind of were backwards engineering. How do you make a movie about a guy in, white face and green hair and run it through as realistic a lens as possible?
Yeah, which is this Belgian filmmaker in 1977. She did these amazing long takes in New York City in 1977. It's amazing in that it's essentially a time capsule. And we watch that, and you just see how the city looked back then, how the cars looked, how people dressed, and we noticed, it wasn't as crowded as New York we know now. People weren't rushing as much. People sat on chairs outside the apartments because maybe they didn't have air conditioning or didn't have, I don't know. And it was just a different pace.
I mean, we all went in to make something that felt really precise, and slowly it gets less and less so as he kind of slowly ascends or descends, depending on how you look at it, into Joker. The movie, somebody said to me, I think it was at Venice, they said the movie feels like it was directed by the Joker. And I really like that. And I know what they mean. It felt like there was an agent of chaos behind the film, not just what the film was about.
I thought it's a fun thing of this origin story of the Joker also is a tiny little bit of origin story of Batman.
Maybe possibly he is Batman, Bruce Wayne's half-brother, and he is the son. I mean, we like that theory, but we never really answer concretely.